Hello, everybody, and welcome to SportsVoice, the second edition under the new tenure with new hosts. My name is Kaplan. I'm here with Pierson, Strandquist, and voila, there's Charlie Jacobs, our lone guest for today. It's going to be an electric show. We're going to have, of course, all three of us going through stuff, introducing a new segment today as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, but Pierson, I'm glad to be here. How's it going today?
I am doing great, Calvin. Listen, sure, we have less guests, but I think Charlie will make up for all three that we had last week, and I'm just super excited to get to talk with both of you today. So, how you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing good. I feel like we've talked a little bit already today. Third show with you, Pierson. Second show with you, Calvin. I'm happy to be a guest, not the host with you guys. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Well, we're going to get rolling, and as you noticed, if you're listening on YouTube, the sound quality is definitely significantly better. Got a new mic setup here, so going forward, the sound on YouTube will be much more listenable, which, of course, there for you viewers at home. But we're going to have some great segments today. Pearson, do you want to take us into the start of it?
Yeah, of course. Like we did last week, we're going to start again with the question of the week, and this time I think that all three of us can answer. Usually, we would just leave it to the guests. We'll start with you, Charlie, and go down the line. The question this week, guys, is if you could add one new sport to Northwestern athletics, let's say they didn't lose $790 million in this scenario. They made money this time. What would it be and why?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Very simply. We don't have an ice hockey team. The Big Ten is a lot of teams are big in hockey, especially look at Michigan. But we don't have a hockey team. We should have a real men's hockey team. That would be so much fun, especially playoff hockey. Playoff hockey in person, get on the glass seats, student section. That place would be rocking.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I think the Frozen Four is something that is one of the most unique things in all of college sports. And I also think that that would be my answer too, but obviously I won't steal it from you. For me, I'll go with my second choice, and it's gonna be men's lacrosse. I think the Lake Show has been so successful for not only as long as we've been here, obviously, but as long as anybody can remember. They have created a dynasty with a coaching staff that is quite awesome, and I think that there's no reason why they can't do that for men's too. I know we talk about Title IX and stuff, but schools like Maryland and other schools in the Big Ten have
them both out of my mouth. I will say as men's fencing, so there's another one that you could add in particular. But I really do think that ice hockey and lacrosse are the two top choices there, especially, ice hockey being up north, men's lacrosse as well. Just the fact that there is that women's lacrosse team that's had so much success. It feels like if the team also invested in another sport that they could have success in as well. Understanding, though, of course, that there are only a certain amount of athletic dollars available, and this Northwestern women's lacrosse team has really proven itself in a lot of ways that a men's lacrosse team probably wouldn't be able to for the foreseeable future, just because of the coaching, the ability to recruit, and the players and the culture that they've established in this league.
Also, I want to throw out there, men's volleyball wasn't even mentioned, and that's something a lot of schools have too, and Northwestern does not.
It is interesting because I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what kind of this Title IX stuff is. It's we can't have another men's or women's sport, for example. But I think that there's definitely ways to get around it because schools have gotten around it. And I think that a school like Northwestern has the money to kind of support any of these. And I think probably not while we're at school, but I think definitely at some point in our lifetimes, we could definitely realistically see one of these teams being funded by some rich guy. Maybe one of us will be rich enough to do that. I don't know.
Maybe. Who
knows?
That's
the goal. But
Maybe.
With that being said, we talked about men's lacrosse a little bit. With that, we'll be shifting into our NU Sports Talk section. And we're starting off with lacrosse. They just played today after a full week off. Relatively easy win over Oregon. At home, 19-10. Honestly, this was closer than it could have been. All of the starters got taken out after the first half. But man, Maddie Taylor scored 7 goals in one half and 4 assists. She matched her career high of 11 points in one half, or one game actually, just in one half. It's amazing what she's doing. So I guess just starting off big, can her impact be the same as Izzy's game? And can that help them be successful in the playoffs when you're facing North Carolina and Boston College?
Well, as someone who is not from Chicago and wasn't really familiar with Northwestern women's lacrosse before really coming here, once I got in, the first I heard of them was when they blew the lead to Boston College in last year's national championship, which is not a great way to at least first hear about one of the best teams at the school. But bouncing off that, I don't know Izzy Skane as well as I know Madison Taylor because I've actually watched Madison Taylor. I haven't really watched Izzy Skane, and Madison Taylor, she's not just chasing a Northwestern all-time season. She's chasing possibly the NCAA single season goal record. She has 71 right now. The record all time in a season is 102. It was set in 2021. I forget who it was, but it was a Boston College player. And she needs 31 to tie, 32 to break, and dropping 7.5. It seems like this is very possible, especially if Northwestern can make a run. I spent a lot of this weekend making a graphic for that with Inside, and I mean, she could do it. Like, it's definitely in the realm of possibility. So the impact, you say Skane-esque, she's a different player. I think Izzy Skane is one thing. Madison Taylor is a completely different thing. She was the number 3 on the team last year, and she still was the second leading goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the impact, it can be Skane-esque, but emphasis on the esque because there's really no matching kind of just the durability that Izzy Skane had in terms of consistently scoring goals and also just like the ability of Aaron Kuykendall, which Northwestern's been able to somewhat, facilitate and replace with some good passers over time. But I think Maddie Taylor's going to be enough to take Northwestern to the Final Four. But I do think that's where their run ends up ending, if I'm going to have to predict it right now, just because I think North Carolina and Boston College aren't really a tier above Northwestern per se, but they're more so like half a tier above, like a 1A, 1B, and then you got the rest of the pack. Some people like to say Northwestern leads the field out of not necessarily North Carolina and Boston College, and I would say yes, but I would take it a step further because I think it's unfair to group them with the rest of these teams, especially, for example, like Johns Hopkins. They beat Johns Hopkins by 13 goals. That's not a team that's like best of the rest. That's a team that's in their own tier or at least up there with BC and UNC. So it's a 3-way race. Northwestern's probably got the third best odds to win it. I think they go out in the Final Four.
I think it will be interesting, honestly. Like, what will that fourth team be? I mean, I agree with you, Calvin. I think it's a lock that it will be the top 15 teams in the country. But I think, like you said, from 4 to 25, all those teams are pretty similar. And so far, Boston College, North Carolina, and Northwestern collectively have destroyed all of them. And so I think that, the final test will be this week on Thursday. Obviously, Northwestern is trying to break the all-time women's lacrosse attendance record with Lacrosse Night in Chicago, not in Chicago, but at Northwestern Madison Field and Martin Stadium. Close enough on the lake. It'll be hopefully electric. I guess in terms of like, what do we think that will mean for the program if they can do that, and do we think it will happen?
I mean, we see Ryan Fieldhouse is a packed house every time, basically, especially that game against North Carolina. Calvin and I had the pleasure to do that call, and I mean, every seat was filled.
That's the biggest thing. It's like we're starting off the last quarter of the year, and I think at the start of the year, like for field hockey, attendance was actually pretty high, and for volleyball. I think part of that was there's definitely a strong freshman class that enjoys watching sports, but I don't know if a lot of that was because of the whole point system and getting to A, and I think a lot of people now are at the A to B range where they might not feel the need to get the points. I think that is an issue. I really hope they do get it. I think this is, out of any team in the country that would deserve to have this like accolade, and probably the only one that could actually make it happen logistically. Today at Northwestern Madison Field, they still had a ton of people in that main stand. Obviously, no one in those other two, but it will really be interesting to see like if they can do it. It'll be super impressive. It'll be awesome. I think it could arguably even be more electric, a word we like to use a lot here at SportsVoice, than football was in that stadium, and I think that's saying a lot.
It's not. The football team was not great this year.
Sure, but like football at that stadium was still pretty good.
It was cool.
Yeah. Either way, though, I think it's kind of finishing off. We've talked about Taylor's chasing Izzy Skane in terms of Northwestern, chasing Boston College players, and kind of that 1 and 2 of that all-time NCAA stuff in terms of points and goals. But I think that what's interesting is they made the decision to take her out here in a game that she probably could have scored 5 or 6 more, right, or at least assisted. And so I guess the question is, do you agree with the move to kind of just, let her stay out? Because she said after the game, like, obviously she wants to support her teammates, but of course her drive is to want to keep playing. And so in that situation, do you let someone keep playing there, or do you just have to be like, I want to let everyone else play?
I think they took out all the starters, didn't they?
Well,
they took out most of the starters.
They at the start of the third quarter, I was covering the game for our friends at NN Sports, and they took out only her going into the third quarter. Then after probably half of that third quarter, then Riley Campbell and Emerson Bolig started going out, and then the Nikki Miles and the Sammy White start but it was very gradual. But Maddie Taylor was no playing time after the first.
I think that also might be tested because she has been a little bit banged up here and there this season. Just let her rest. Yes, of course, she's going to say she wants to play, as would any player when they're asked in a press conference, because not just even media training, because that's just the drive, as you said. And I'm sure in the back of her mind, obviously, it's like team first. going back to what Bill Belichick always said. He's always like, it was the Tom Brady's Michigan coach. I forget his name. Great documentary, but just about having it where you have the team as the number one, but I'm in the back of her head is that NCAA goals record. And she was in Izzy Skane's shadow last year. And this year, she's still a junior. She still possibly is, not just this year and next year. She might even have a grad year. So we could see Madison Taylor do extraordinary things, but I understand that drive.
Yeah, but watching in person is pretty awesome, I will say. Moving on to the Diamond Sports. Calvin and I have a call tomorrow, actually, for
We do? Well, Tuesday, actually.
Tuesday. That's what I meant.
Almost tomorrow.
If only it was tomorrow.
I said almost tomorrow.
It is almost tomorrow. That is true. Before baseball, they had a huge 9-7 win versus Notre Dame. Trent Loyolis broke the Wildcats' single-season home run record in that one, which is just huge. I mean, when you look at this Northwestern baseball program, I mean, sure, they have Joe Girardi and J.A. Happ, and maybe a couple other handful of players who had relatively short MLB careers. But besides that, I mean, Northwestern baseball has, honestly, if we're being frank, has been kind of a poverty bottom of the barrel team. And I am saying this in the best way possible. They have such great players and great personalities. But, I mean, this is the first year in 4 years where they had a head coach not get fired and have continuity. And even so, this team is inconsistent. So I guess with that being said, why do we think that inconsistency is happening? And is it fixable, considering that after that and after a Ryan Kuchrak walk-off against Michigan State, or sorry, rather a game winner, they then lose the series against Michigan State and kind of are out of the chances for the Big Ten tournament?
I'm gonna let you guys take this one first, actually.
Yeah, I mean, to me, first and foremost, Pierson, like you said, this is just so much different than what we've seen out of so many Northwestern teams, and the continuity at head coach really shows that. I think someone like Trent Loyolis does have a legitimate case for, being first team All Big Ten, being Big Ten Player of the Year, something along those lines, where he's hitting so efficiently. But someone like Ryan Kuchrak has been so clutch. He's hitting walk-off hit after walk-off hit, and I mean, it's just been absolutely absurd to see how, he hasn't even been hitting for that high of an average. It's just when it counts, he comes up and gets big hits. And Northwestern, they have some big wins. They've beaten Iowa. They've beaten Michigan State. These are some top teams in the conference. And yeah, the pitching staff is kind of concerning, but we've seen some interesting players. Like a couple of days ago, Christian Fornes had 5 no-hit innings, and then he kind of blew up after that, and the Cats lost big. But 5 no-hit innings. That's pretty cool. And Amar Sengek had 5 innings in relief too, where he was really good. It's just a question of these pitchers finding consistency, because that's really cool to see those guys emerge with that kind of talent, because they're younger guys with not a lot of experience who came in and benefited their team greatly. I think if they can take it to the next level, this team can stay above 500 Big Ten play the rest of the year. If not, they're probably not going to.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of freshmen on this team, which is huge for the future. A lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors too. Not as many seniors or grad students. Yes, like Sam Leboki, not going to be here next year. But, I mean, Garrett Shearer has played 2 games this year, and he hasn't been back since. You're missing your top pitcher. There's just some other injuries all across the board. And Jack Lausch, finally, he's transitioning to baseball. Maybe, depending on how the quarterback situation looks with football, we're definitely going to see that soon at the open practice this weekend. But Lausch may really, maybe he might completely flip and focus just on baseball, and then that adds even more of a depth piece, I guess, so to call it. And as we said, Matthew Kauser has been starting basically every weekend for Northwestern as a pitcher and as a freshman, which is impressive. Calvin, when we did that doubleheader call, Kucherak hit 3 home runs back to back, which was just unheard of, and also had a walk-off. So he's no stranger to the big stage. And Loyolis, even in that doubleheader, wasn't great. He was fine. He wasn't the star of the show. But the fact that you break a school single season home run record, and the season's not even really necessarily that close to being over in a way, it's crazy impressive. It's a great sign. And inconsistencies happen in sports, especially when it's really your first season where you're so to say good, because it's weird hearing Northwestern baseball and good in the same sentence. But I think
it's the reality.
I think you can make the argument that they're pretty solid. NBA wise, they're a playing team, or MLB wise, they're fringe wild card. If
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are right there. I think a ballsy win against Michigan State. Yes, they got mercy ruled twice after that, but at the end of the day, I mean, a win is a win. They won 2 games out of this week, going 2-2 in a week for Northwestern baseball is something they could not say the last 3, 4, 5 years even. And I think that also is a testament to Ben Greenspan. I think that he does not get enough credit. Obviously, this team is still okay. Yeah, sure, they're hovering around 500, which maybe isn't the most exciting for a non-sports fan, just someone who's as a Northwestern student. But at the same time, I mean, the dude has gone through a lot of adversity. There was so much talk of him being like, yeah, he's gone. He should be canned. But he wasn't. And he came back and he was super positive, and he's embraced guys like Louch who come in. He's embraced all these freshmen. And I think the program is definitely looking up. It's trending up. And I think, honestly, having young players is a good thing because not having those players leave. I mean, lacrosse had their senior day today. I think it was like with the grad students and the seniors combined. Obviously, we don't know which seniors are coming back grad school year. But, I mean, there were like 15 or 16 players standing out there at Northwestern Medicine Field today. And so for baseball to only have a handful is great because I think that continuity in terms of the roster is probably the biggest way to fix inconsistency because chemistry is probably the most important thing in sports.
And also just want to touch on Northwestern. I mean, despite all odds, is a Big Ten school. So NIL is very much in play here because Northwestern is a power conference team. And there likely will be better players in the future on Northwestern because of this shift. I mean, we're seeing transfers in other sports in basketball who are choosing Northwestern over big schools. You're seeing people in football. Preston Stone came here from SMU, and SMU was in the playoffs, the college football playoffs. Like, there's method to the madness, so to say, and it's because of just the way college sports are.
Yeah, I mean, method to the madness, great way to put it. But yeah, I mean, we're going to transition here from one diamond sport to the other. It's very close by at Drysdale Field from baseball to softball. And so we're going to go to a team that, baseball's looking up. Softball had been looking up for a while in the Big Ten, but they faced a really elite Nebraska teime, guys, and suffered a lot. 2 mercy rule losses. One of them 1-11, one of them 1-10 today. I mean, I got the chance to I've watched yesterday's game in full, and I mean, one of the things that stood out was that shouldn't have been a mercy rule game just because the Cats on the bottom of the 5th had strike 3 on a 3-2 count. It was called ball 4, and the next batter hit a 3-run home run. So it should have been going on, but nonetheless, the Cats did not come back in that game. Obviously, on Sunday, I mean, Kylie McGee came out there for Nebraska, and it was Jordy Ball on Saturday because she had like 5 RBIs and pitched the whole game on the mound. So that's just kind of crazy for a team like that. And, sometimes not all. There's only so much you can do. She also homered, by the way, in the game against Nebraska, ended up being 2 for 3 in that one, had a home run, a couple RBIs. So just kind of a ridiculous series for her. Not much you can do about that, but I do want to hear your guys' thoughts in general about softball. Based on this, what do you guys think is going to happen in the Big Ten tournament?
I mean, I think it's tough. I mean, going into the season, obviously Nebraska was like that kind of wild card, but at the same time, I think people thought the Northwestern would be a clearly better team. I mean, with players like Kaylee Avasado coming in and the players blossoming, it would be pretty obvious that like this Northwestern team should be like a lock for a 4-peat, and that really isn't happening. I mean, Nebraska basically embarrassed them twice at home, and I think yes, Nebraska is ranked and Northwestern is not, but I mean, it feels like we were talking about in lacrosse, kind of the difference between Northwestern and Boston College and North Carolina, and they're all in the same tier. Arguably, I think Nebraska and Northwestern are 2 tiers apart. And I think that is kind of sad because it's almost like we're seeing the end of, I don't want to say dynasty because I think still having 5 Big Ten championships under one coaching span and also 3 in a row is huge. And that's
2 ties.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of stuff to be proud of this stretch, but at the same time, I think it could definitely be a sign of Nebraska probably beating Northwestern in the actual playoff format of the Big Ten. For the regular season, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Nebraska could definitely lose to a couple teams, but they could not. I mean, they looked really strong. We'll see tomorrow in the final game if Northwestern can avoid a sweep. If they don't, I think that is signs of things to come.
I mean, this was also exactly what happened last year. It just happened later in the season. Northwestern was cruising by all of last year and then just completely flopped at the end. And it feels like the same thing's kind of happening, but just a little bit earlier. Hopefully it doesn't, because the more teams that you could say won a Big Ten championship or won the Big Ten regular season title or won a national championship, shout out field hockey, because just the fact that I also kind of going a little bit of a tangent here. The fact that we could say that we won a national championship in a sport and we go to the school here, it's incredible because there are hundreds, thousands of colleges that cannot say that, and we can. So, but still, it's not a great sign for softball. Maybe they could turn things around. We'll have to see because you never know. Teams can get hot at the right time. I mean, look at NC State a couple of years ago in March Madness. Look at Look at the Commanders, even in the playoffs and at the NFL. Like,
Yeah, you know it.
look at the 2007 Giants beating the undefeated Patriots. Kind of showed in that last week that they kind of had that it factor, because there could be a team who, like Northwestern, all of a sudden shows they have that little something and then just goes on a crazy run. This happens. There's that they call it unpredictable. Sports are so hard to bet on, so hard to predict. That's why no, there's never been a perfect bracket in March Madness, because these things are so hard to know what actually happens.
There was a few women's brackets this year that
Super
came
close.
one game away, by the way.
Super close.
One game away. I think one of them didn't pick Indiana to win in the first round, and that was it. It was like a 9-8
And then
game.
one was in the
but
final
also the
four,
first
right?
time ever.
Yeah, no,
this has
there was
happened,
one
though.
who had like 57 in a row correct. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Charlie, it is the first time this happened. It took a year of like a ton of chalk for that to even occur, even get close to happening.
For sure. With that being said, I mean, I think we'll see what happens tomorrow. But finally, we'll just move on to a little bit of men's and women's basketball news. I think that based on what happened, kind of we talked a lot about WNBA and her take, and we also talked about Coach McEwen last time on SportsVoice. I think we'll just move on to some of the stuff we missed. Biggest thing, Chris Collins is staying. This was the news of last week. This was the news of the Big Ten. A lot of salty fans across the Big Ten who wanted him to go to Villanova. Of course, it was Kevin Willard instead, and that probably impacted Maryland's run in the tournament. Regardless, though, I guess one, contract projections, and two, just reactions to what he's meant for the program or what you think he will mean.
I kind of took this. I saw the Chris Collins and the fact that obviously we're all happy, and I don't know how much I love the fact that Chris Collins is staying. I'm gonna be
Wow.
I'm gonna be completely blunt with
Hot
that.
take.
Wow.
I'm gonna be completely blunt with that. And Kyle turned the TikTok camera on, because I don't know if Chris Collins is the right coach going forward for this program. Yes, he built the program up. Yes, he's great at developing players. But when it comes down to the X's and O's, especially you saw this last year, there were a lot of times Northwestern had to just rely on a chuck up from Nick Martinelli because the play calls were just egregious. And I'm sure you guys kind of agree with that too. Like, as much as it hurts to say, and as much as Chris Collins has meant to this program, it might be a good idea to get someone who's a little bit more tactical rather than that recruiter. Yes, Chris Collins is a fantastic recruiter. Yes, he has the tree with his father, and yes, he knows basketball and he's been around basketball his entire life. But I don't know if he's what the Cats need right now if they want to make that push, rather than just being a team that develops players who might transfer out now with the new way college basketball is, and be able to recruit these guys who will transfer out to someone who actually can make stuff happen on the court and actually scheme. Like, look at Kelvin Sampson. Some of those play calls he has, especially the inbound passes, because I don't even know any real NBA teams who are perfect at inbound passes. If you could get someone who's a master at something, who's a coach who's a master game planner in one aspect of the game, you have the upper hand in that for everything. And Chris Collins, I don't know if he has that it factor. Yes, he's a great coach, and yes, he means a lot to Northwestern, but for me, it's my first year here. I do like him, but if he left, I wouldn't have been as upset as I'm pretty much everyone else would have.
Couldn't disagree more. I think this is the perfect coach for this team going forward. And I don't agree with you. I think he's really, really good in terms of scheming. I think what we saw in terms of Nick Martinelli's like game winners, for example, weren't just things where he was chucking up shots. I think that's either where him or his assistants are scheming up plays for him to get the ball. And just kind of like this Northwestern offense where they ran up the offense out of a lot of floppy sets. I think something I've learned a lot, I will say, from Eliot Brooks Rubin on Inside NU writing these film breakdown articles. And I think one of the things you learn from those is just how much different the game plan is that Chris Collins brings depending on the team he's facing. And to an extent, that's what you expect from a head coach. But to me, he's always been able to make adjustments and always been able to get the most out of his guys, because there's not really a single Northwestern player on this team this year that stood out as like some uber talent. Like even Nick Martinelli, the Big Ten scoring leader, he's an incredible superstar, but he's not like at the level of like a John Tonje, for example, just in terms of that raw talent and just in terms of that basketball ability. I think he plays a unique game, and I think that's what allows him to score a lot. But yeah, I think Chris Collins is the perfect coach. He's brought this team to historic heights. There's a reason no one else could do it on the Northwestern Wildcats in either the men's or the women's side outside of a couple years from Joe McEwen when they had Veronica Burton and they had the COVID year. But I mean, to me, Chris Collins, yeah, perfect coach for this team. There's a reason he's brought this team to where it is despite how little funding it has. And the fact that what he did with this team this year, which without Collins I think would have been bottom of the Big Ten, even more so than it was, is just incredible. He does so much with so little year in and year out, and no discredit to the players because a lot of guys like Martinelli and Wyndham and so many others stepped up this season, but it's tough when you don't have that proven superstar, that national name, and Chris Collins made it work.
I will have to agree with you, Calvin. And I think also the other thing is like I definitely get where you're coming from, Charlie. I think there definitely are things where sometimes like, what is he doing? But at the same time, it's like most of the time I feel pretty confident with him as head coach. I think the biggest thing is that if they didn't re-sign him, then next year, who would they realistically get? And I think that's the biggest problem is like, sure, maybe there is a coach that is better than Chris Collins. I don't think we know that. I don't think there's anybody who can say who that person is because I think as far as we know, there isn't anyone better than Chris Collins. And I think that's the problem. Is like going into that uncertainty. That's something where women's basketball is right now, and they went from being a really like a great tournament run for the program, and now they're kind of in the gutter. With Coach McKeon retiring next season, I think that's something that Chris Collins helps them avoid. And also looking at someone like Kevin Willard, the person who did get hired for Villanova, in the like again in that game against Colorado State. Yes, of course you have Derek Queen, but there was no scheming. There was a thing. Oh, look at Kevin Willard. He said, "Who wants the ball?" Okay, sure. Of course you want your players to take that, but that's not scheming. That's just, oh, okay, we want Derek Queen to take it because he said it. Or maybe it's Julian Reese. I mean, sure, of course those players are great. But at the same time, it's like, it does help when your team is just not as talented. And no offense to these players. They are talented players, and none of us could compare to them. But at the same time, it's like, I think he does elevate them in ways that other coaches can't. To your point, Charlie, maybe it's not to that level next level, but it's definitely where they're at now. And I think as a Northwestern student, I'm just happy with that.
No, I will say I am happy and I'm forever grateful that Chris Collins is our coach and we actually do have a legit and a real coach. I'm just saying, and I totally agree, like, what are the alternatives? But as you mentioned Kevin Miller with the Derek Queen game winner. When Martinelli had those game winners, the play wasn't really get Martinelli open. It was get the ball to Martinelli and hopefully make something happen. You look at that second game winner, the one against USC, even though there's still a second left on the shot clock, Martinelli had to do a little drop step in and had to just kind of layer it in, like one of his awkward lefty layups where he's not even looking at the rim because that's just Nick Martinelli. That's his game plan.
But the Maryland play though was a scheme though.
The Maryland play was more of a scheme, but also you could say the same thing that Derek Queen shot against Colorado State was kind of a scheme because he got to a spot and he made it and he perfectly did or didn't travel. But yeah. I mean that's a completely different thing. But still, the way I was looking at this too is you look at people like Nate Oates, Alabama, and he was a high school math teacher not too long ago. And all of a sudden, Alabama is the best scoring team in the country. I'm more looking at it at an angle from, can you get someone who could really change the way basketball is played to make this team have a higher ceiling? Just how like in the NBA, Steph Curry changed the game with 3-pointers. Alabama, they don't take mid-range shots. They only take easy layups or they take threes. And Northwestern, I mean, the 3-point offense was not great this year. We could say that straight up. And even there were times where, especially even late in games, even games Northwestern won or lost, doesn't matter on how many fouls were called or whatever, but just some of the scheming when like that USC game, Northwestern came out with the win. And yeah, Blake Smith did foul twice on a 3, but who's not to fault Chris Collins a little bit for telling Blake Smith to contest that 3? Like, there is a little bit to both sides. And I see what you guys are saying. And I do agree he is a good coach. And I'm not mad that he is our coach. I'm just saying if there was a better alternative, I would take it.
Fair enough. And I think that's it. It's like he is there and I don't think we'll ever know because he got signed. So
and I'm not saying I'm mad he got signed. I am happy that we have a legit and proven coach. I just don't know. The floor is higher with him, but I don't know if the ceiling is as high as it could have been with someone else.
Yeah, very interesting. I think that's not a take we expected, but we do appreciate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not a Matt Campbell take.
Not a reverse Matt Campbell take. Some may say.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Nick Martinelli declared for the NBA draft, but I think he'll come back. I think that's probably the scenario. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he is I think he is I
think so.
I think he's a better prospect than maybe Boone Brooks were in the sense of like he does have a lot of things in this game that are very unique. At the end of the day, though, I don't think he would be drafted, and so I think that he should come back. Again, I'm not his agent. I'm not the one telling him to do this. But Brooks Barnhizer, he had a lot of cryptic tweaks this week. And obviously, at some point, we're going to hear whether or not he gets his medical waiver for last season. Again, it's a lot of weird stuff because it's like it was kind of retrospective that they decided this. He chose to play injured. They could have shut him down and clearly gotten a waiver. Instead, he wanted to keep playing, which is a testament to how great Brooks Barnhizer is. But do we think he'll get the waiver? And if he does, how do we think that Northwestern successfully got it?
I'm just going to answer the cryptic cryptic tweets part. I think he was answering the whole thing. There was that whole controversy with Purdue, and I think that's really why he put out some of those tweets. The waiver, I have no idea. I don't work for college basketball. I don't work for the NCAA. If I knew, I would tell you guys, but I don't. So it's really hard to say. And I know he always said he doesn't want to be a grad student. Maybe he comes back as a grad student. Maybe that's his waiver. Maybe he takes another year here at school, because we don't know. That could be what he's doing, and we all are speculating that it's a waiver when it's actually just, oh, I'm coming back for a 5th year of school. I'm going to go to Kellogg.
I mean, the problem is nobody really knows right now, and it's like, yeah, like you said, Charlie, like, we've no idea for sure, like, just how likely he is to get the medical waiver. We know it's possible, but we don't know just how far along that process is. Nothing about that is reported. We also don't really know anything about what Barnhizer is doing next, because what happened this week, in case you weren't chronically online, Jonathan Gavoni from Draft Express, or the Draft Express on Twitter, he tweeted out that Brooks Barnhizer was looking to get a medical waiver, and that if he got it, he would go to the transfer portal. That got deleted, but there was also an ESPN notification citing him that said that Brooks Barnhizer was going to enter the NBA draft. That also got deleted. So we have all of our bases covered, guys, in terms of what he could do. He could either not get his waiver, he could get the transfer portal, he could enter the NBA draft. All of that has been reported and then redacted, and now there is nothing in terms of an official report about whether or not things are going to happen to Brooks Barnhizer. That being said, my own personal opinion, which of course isn't informed by any inside information, is that his career as Northwestern is probably finished. I mean, it's obviously he hopes for the medical waiver, but he had that one final send-off, very emotional night for Chris Collins, for Brooks Barnhizer. I think that's it for him, and I don't end up thinking he's going to get drafted in the NBA. He might take a shot at it. I wouldn't be surprised if he declares, but I do think his Northwestern career is likely done. I hope it's not. I hope he comes back for another year, but I think it probably will prove to be a lot of speculation and wild rumors that don't come to fruition.
I mean, I think that if Brooks has the opportunity to get a waiver, I think he'll take it. And the reason why I say that is you look at someone like Boo Buie, who was clearly a great player, and obviously the station member Sammy Crimson just checked in on him, and he was kind of feels like he's stuck with the Westchester Knicks. And obviously he got the two-way, got off the two-way. We don't know what's happening. He's still chasing his dream, and it's great for him, and he didn't have this situation. But for Brooks, it's like, he has, again, like Nick, he has a really, really unique game, and he has the grit that could bring him to the league. But at the same time, coming off an injury, like, teams are willing to take projects. We saw Kenny Lofton come to the league and come out of the league, and then he just won, I think it's the Chinese league, I believe. He won their MVP award. Like, there are players like that, and there are paths like that, whether it's through international or through the NBA, where you can become a successful player. But I think for Brooks, even maybe those international teams wouldn't want to take a chance on that just because of the injury history. And so I think if he gets the opportunity, he should take it. Again, I don't know what's going to happen either. I hope that he does, but just because of the fact that this team has a lot of lack of depth in many positions besides the backcourt. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I just want to clarify. He cannot get a grad waiver, correct? Is that true?
The only way that I know of that he can come back is through a medical waiver, which seems to me unlikely, but there's no one who...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
He might have... I don't think he did. He didn't, and I think that was maybe a mistake. I think, obviously, he stuck to his word, which good for him, but I think it definitely hurt his chances, because I think if he did do the grad school, I mean, Northwestern would have accepted him.
If he was in grad school, he'd be... We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
We would not.
We would know that he's probably playing.
And I think there are, like, obviously Chris Collins was the one thing we were worried about, but now we have a lot of different things. Like with Nick Martinelli and Brooks Barnhizer, those are two X factors that we don't know about yet. And we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks. One thing we do know about is Luke Hunger's leaving. And
Blake Barkley also just...
And Blake Barkley as well. And honestly, I mean, womp womp. I mean, no offense to those guys. Like, Luke Hunger did have a good impact when they made the tournament, but then last year he had nothing close to that. And then for Blake Barkley, I mean, honestly, I think people are questioning why he got minutes.
He didn't get a full chance to play, and I'm excited for him at East Tennessee State, because this is going to mean he's going to get a chance to start and be a good player for that team. Just wasn't space for him on the current roster.
For sure. And I think also, I mean, good for someone like Jordan Clayton, who kind of was like, would he be that spot? Would he actually be in the rotation next season? I think he proved a lot of great playmaking, but also a lot of turnovers as well, kind of not being able to get through the full court press. But I think Jordan Clayton has a spot on this team. Granted, a lot of guards, including USF guard Jaden Reed and Holy Cross guard Max Green, both of who transferred to Northwestern after great seasons from both of them individually. I mean, I guess, what are your thoughts on those? Like, what are their roles going to be, considering that you have someone like KJ Wyndham and Angelo Chiravino kind of already there?
I want to talk about Max Green first. I'll let you guys talk more about Jaden Reed, because Max Green had his freshman season last year at Holy Cross and was touted out by Florida, who just won the national championship. I believe Florida State was one of those teams. Like, just a lot of big name college basketball teams, and he chooses Northwestern. And it's not like he's coming here for his grad year because he wants to go to grad school here, because that is definitely a big draw, especially for those Ivy League players like we saw with Ryan Legborg. But he's coming in here as a rising sophomore, and for Northwestern basketball, that's amazing. Like, I'm shocked that we got that. No offense to anyone who works with Northwestern basketball. I am shocked that we got that, and I am so happy we do, because he will likely be our starting point guard next year. Wyndham's probably going to start at shooting guard, but he will likely be our starting point guard because we need someone who could actually bring the ball up the floor, and Max Green can. Like, it's
That'd
pretty
be real
simple.
nice. That would be real nice.
Oh my god, that would be so nice.
I mean, the entire season, I think even with Jalen Leach, it was a problem where it was like,
and when Brooks did it, it was a problem.
it was like nobody could. And I think maybe that's something with scheming with Chris Collins. I don't know, but I think Max Green definitely solves that problem. The one Rookie of the Year in the Patriot League, had the most Rookie of the Weeks since CJ McCollum. I mean, this is someone with the pedigree where he could, out of all of the players on this roster next year, definitely be an NBA caliber player. I mean, that might be a hot take just because he's a Northwestern student and he's coming from Holy Cross. But, like, at the same time, I think that he will have a huge impact on this team. People talk about whether or not this team can meet that pedigree, being one of the top 3 teams in wins of the Big Ten in the last 4 years. And I think they definitely can hit that with someone like him. And also, Jaden Reed, in his own right, great depth. I mean, took 40% of his total shots from 3, hit 47.5% of them, was a starter for USF, a team who made to the final of their conference tournament. Averaged only 12 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. That's kind of what you want from someone like him. He's probably going to get a little bit less playing time, but a more relevant role. Obviously, 2023.
Still got 2 years.
Yeah, and still got 2 years as well. I mean, that's the great thing about this team. I mean, even if Brooks doesn't get his medical red shirt, or whatever it's called, I guess, waiver, I think this team's still set up for a lot of success. I mean, they have a really exciting core and probably one of the best in the Big Ten in the sense that they're all around the same age. I mean, they're all going to be here for at least a couple of years. Of course, there's the things with the draft and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to Northwestern and Chris Collins, those players tend to stick, and they tend to stick for their full 4 or 5 years. And I think it's a really exciting time to be a Northwestern Wildcat basketball fan.
Absolutely. I'll keep it quick so that we can get to our new segment, our trivia segment here. But yeah, I mean, Max Green, I agree with you, Charlie. I mean, they could put him at the 1. They could also put him at the 2 or the 3. He's 6'6" and gets some rebounds. I think he might end up also playing the 3 as a starter. And then maybe someone like Reed or Wyndham is playing the 1, which obviously, not ideal, but Wyndham got a lot better at it as the season went on. Somebody like Reed too, Pierson, you mentioned that shooting percentage. It went down a lot in his sophomore year, but still shot 36% from 3 compared to 48% in his freshman season. So still a great 3-point shooter. The question is, I mean, he's 5'10", and a lot of these Big Ten guards are long. They have really big wingspans. And so the question is about getting open looks. It reminds me a lot, to use an analogy from the women's side, of someone like Zamaya Walton, who's 5'7" with a really good 3-point stroke. But because she wasn't able to get herself open off the dribble enough, she wasn't really that great at 3-point shooting this season. Now, I will say Jaden Reed, really good shot creator in his own right, so maybe this won't be the same situation as someone like Zamaya Walton, but nonetheless, something to watch for. But I really love these 2 transfers. Just think the team needs a center.
Yeah, you said shot creator. That rings such a enlightening bell in my mind, in my head. Just the fact that Jordan Clayton was the closest thing we had to a shot creator last year. So,
and he did a decent job considering his thing, and I think he could still do a decent job as part of rotation. I think that having him and Jaden Reed as your 2 guard backups is very good. I mean, I think that's a great position to be in. And then with the centers, I think we're going to talk more about this next week. Hopefully we'll know who that transfer center is. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, and a lot of the guys keep coming off the board, transferring to different schools that Northwestern has supposedly been targeting. But I think we have a decision to make here at a crossroads of the show. We can go a little bit longer than 9. We have our trivia segment, and we have national sports talk up on the docket.
A lot of national sports to go on.
So I think, Calvin, we're going to what do you think we should do?
I think maybe we roll through. We'll see what happens with the centers next week. I think a lot of people know, just for that sort of summary, Northwestern's only center on the roster right now, Cade Bennerman. He's a freshman, 6'11", really, really good. But
Tennessee Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, Tennessee Mr. Basketball, but he can't play 40 minutes a game every single game.
Or can he?
Or can he? You'll find out next week.
Or Trey Singleton could play center at 6'8".
I mean, I guess Pardone was around similar height, and he played center.
Also, I mean, I think this is a situation where even if they get a transfer center, I mean, if this is the year where they have a roster spot for walk-ons. I mean, tall people on campus, they could be trying to get them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm in.
I mean, maybe I'll hit
Our
my
own
growth
Brendan
spurt
Prizeman?
finally, and we'll do that.
Brendan Prizeman, sure.
Adam Beck, we know he's so good in the post.
But I think that's another thing.
Matt Kemp, Sonny Noble would be great.
Yeah.
Mintessa out hit center.
He could low-key shoot though.
He can. I mean,
Okay.
that is center. Okay, so like, what do we want to do? Trivia or national sports talk?
You want to do trivia?
Sure.
Sure.
Let's do one round of trivia and then we can move on. So Calvin, I think you have a better category than I. So
All right.
you can
Well,
start off.
welcome to
Pierson, do
trivia,
you have the
guys.
answers?
This is what's that?
Oh, it's me versus you. Okay.
Yeah, this is a face-off. I'm
gonna move
gonna
to
turn
the other
computer.
camera.
Yeah, Pearson's gonna move. I think because we don't want him to see the category off of my computer. So, for those of you on YouTube and on radio, this is a new segment. We've got trivia for the first time here on Sports Voice. And how this trivia contest works, it's very similar to if you've ever watched the ESPN style show Stump the Schwab. There's this guy, Howie Schwab, who's supposed to be a genius in sports stats. And what he did was he was able to name basically any player in any category. So what you did is you give a category. Sometimes there are more than two people playing. We'll play this with just two. But say top 100 quarterbacks in passing yards of all time. And these two, the contestants, go back and forth naming players in that category. If they're right, they stay in. If they're wrong, they get out. And this game would keep going until there are two players left, which there are right now. So basically how it will work is if one of them gets it wrong, whoever went first in the game, if they get it wrong, the person who goes second has a chance to win it. And if that person gets it wrong too, we reset and both players are back in the game just to make sure it's completely fair. But for how that would work, for example, let's say it's top 50 quarterbacks in passing yards all time. Charlie says Peyton Manning, correct, he's in. Pierson says Tom Brady, correct, he's in. Charlie says Skylar Thompson, incorrect. Pierson has a chance to win, but Pierson says someone incorrect too, so they're both back in.
I would say Caleb Williams, obviously.
Yeah, Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
Jay Cutler.
Charlie goes with Drew Brees. Pierson goes with Taylor Heineke, and Pierson just lost because that was a terrible decision to go with Taylor Heineke. Charlie wins the round. That's basically an example of how a round would go. We have a football category here today, and so you guys are going to guess, and you guys can follow along here at home too, because this is a perfect game for you to follow along, think of names in your head. We're going to go with, since it's just one round, I think we can go with a little bit more than top 50. We'll do top 75 in rushing yards all time, and Charlie is going to start first. I've got a list in front of me, top 75 rushing yards career leaders in the NFL all time, and whoever names more is the winner of this first trivia edition. We're going to bring this back on future shows too, and we have 3 people.
Ding, ding, ding. Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith is on the
It's
list. Number 1 all time. Pearson, you're up.
I think I got to go with Walter Payton, right?
He is number 2 on the list. Let's
Gale
see if we can keep
Sayers.
getting him in order. Gale
Love that.
Sayers
It's not in order, but I wanted to.
is. We are going to search. I think he is not on
He's
the
not in
list.
the top
Wow.
75.
164.
Oh my God.
Gale Sayers
Can I?
is
I was
Wow.
off a little
That's
bit.
actually shocking.
If this goes quickly, we can definitely do one
Yes.
more.
Wait,
If you
no,
want to
can
read
we
through
redo
yours.
this round? That was
Wow.
Would you have guessed Gale Sayers next?
Gale
Probably,
Sayers.
I was hoping. I did not. I know he's not.
Oh, you knew. Okay, but that's
Yes, because as a Bears fan,
Well, we
unfortunately,
can go
Gale
through another
Sayers,
round.
his career was very.
Maybe
his career was very short, and he had a great career. Obviously, I mean, can I just go with LD?
LB?
LD. LaDainian Thompson.
LaDainian Tomlinson's number 7.
Yeah,
so
okay.
that was a quicker round than
Let,
expected.
us run it
If
back.
you guys
for a
want to
different
go through
round.
another round, I'll pick another
I know.
category.
I was surprised.
I was like, ooh, let me do the Bears.
You gotta
He
get.
just maybe didn't play enough seasons.
He did it. That's the main thing. Gale Sayers
He didn't
100% would have.
play.
Obviously, he got hurt. He was impacted by the death of Ryan Piccolo. I mean, a lot of things that happened. Bears fans will know about this. Unfortunately, he was on track to get it too.
What if we just continue this category? Keep going.
We could, unless you have a very.
We could. What if we do? Yeah. Do you guys want to continue this
I think
category?
we do. I think we should.
Sure, we can.
Okay, so we're gonna continue. So Pearson won that one. Typically, we would do another category, but since
Because it's
the
also
blunder of
Or-
all
or-
blunders.
or-
also because it's 2 people, we could see whoever gets it wrong twice first loses today.
We can do something like that.
Because
Or we can do another football category. I'm fine.
Okay, yeah, maybe we do. Let's do another
Okay.
football category.
'Cause
Let's see
you're
if I can get one
But you're good at
here
football.
real
I mean,
quick.
you should know all of them.
Yeah, so we'll be good here. We are gonna go with. Oh,
Don't
here's a
put
good
that.
one. I like that. We're gonna go with top 75 all time in all-purpose yards.
Ooh.
So just yards in general, all-purpose yards. They can include
So I
return
guess
yards. So
I
Does
go
this
for-
include passing yards?
there you go. Yeah, we'll do Pearson first. All-purpose yards. No, they're not
So
quarterbacks
rushing
on the list.
and-
So
rushing-
rushing, receiving, and then return yards. No quarterbacks are on the list here.
Okay. I am Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is on the list. He is it took me a second to find, number 36 on the
Emmett
list.
Smith.
Emmett Smith. Oh, I wonder if he is on the list, guys.
He's like
Let's
3
check.
probably.
Emmett Smith is number 4 on the list.
Man, I guess I got to go
Back to
with
Pierson.
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton's number 3 on the list. That's shocking. We're going to go back to
I got a
Charlie.
really good guess. Gail Sayers. No, I'm joking.
Very close.
Give me Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, I think
should be
he
there.
might be on there. He is 57 on the
he should
list.
be.
There you go. So we're top 75 here. Pierson, you're up again.
Oh, I mean, Rob Gronkowski.
Rob Gronkowski, going with the tight ends here, that's for sure. And
He's not.
not on the list. Number 216. A lot of guys up here in all-purpose yards.
I don't know why I went with him.
Number
There's so
1
many
guy,
higher
number
tight
2
ends.
guy still available.
Okay.
And went with
I
Gronkowski.
want to go with like a weird one, but I want to be safe. Can I give 2? Can I give my weird one first? But no.
Like, you gotta
Cordero
pick one.
Patterson.
Yeah, just
Cordero Patterson. You
Ooh.
guys might be overthinking this just a little and making it closer than it needs to be because there are a lot of players on here. But Cordero Patterson is number 58, and you won.
Yeah.
GG's. I mean, that was
No. Okay.
two-
That was 1-1.
2 embarrassing rounds for both of us.
We
I
could
think-
do one more if you guys
Let's
want
do
to
one
break
I
the
think.
tie.
I think let's settle the tie.
Let's do one more.
Well-
Let's do a different sport.
No,
Different
Not
sport?
baseball.
Yeah,
Not baseball.
That's fine. We can do
Basketball?
Sure. For the NBA playoffs coming up.
Okay, we will do the NBA all-time leaders in assists top 75. How does that sound?
Wow.
You wanna
Okay.
go first, or should I go first? Because I just won. You went first. the
Yeah,
last
you
time.
may go first, Charlie.
Okay, so yeah, we got top
Going
75
first is a big
assists.
deal
Charlie
for us,
goes
though.
first. We're going to break
That
the
is
tie
true.
here. And hopefully you guys learned your lesson and are not going to try to be too creative and unique because the game is not about being creative and unique. It's about, sharing the best.
Give me Chris Paul. Actually, oldest player, I believe, in NBA history to play every game in a season. Just played his 82nd of 82 games this year. 39.
That's impressive. And Chris Paul is number 2 on the list. So, Pierson, you're up.
I mean, I guess let's go safe. I don't want to we can't get the first, second round again. I'll go with John Stockton.
Number 1 on the list. Correct. Back to Charlie.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash, number 5 to Pierson.
Man, I really want to go with a bull. You know what? I'm just going to say Jordan. I think he might not be, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, wait, hold on. I need to get more on the list. This list only has the top 25, so just give me one second here. But we have, career records for assists. I'm going to pull that up right now.
This
and
might kill
search
me, but
Michael
I'm fine to
Jordan.
move on.
And he's 52. He is
Okay.
on the list, so I wasn't quite sure. You're right. That was close, but yeah, Michael
LeBron
Jordan on the
James.
list. LeBron James, number 4 on the list. Back to Pierson.
Yes, there you go. I'm going to go with... Man, I'm trying to think. I don't want. I'm getting too creative.
This
man.
list, by the way, is NBA and ABA. I don't think it's going to make a
NBA
difference.
and I don't
It's probably
think-
not going to make a difference, but just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Man, I want to get creative, but I don't. You know what? Let's go with is Steve Kerr on there.
Steve Kerr
That's not.
I don't think he is.
is
no shot.
not
Yeah.
close. He is not on the list that I have of the top 200.
Should I get it wrong so we keep going?
I don't care, man. You can keep going. You
I'm gonna. I just want to see this. This is also out of my curiosity. Is Jokic up there?
Jokic is on the list,
Yeah.
I
There you go.
believe, number 59.
Yeah, he should.
So
My other guess was gonna be the Big O, who I think is number 3, right?
Big
the
Ocean
Big
go.
O, Oscar Robertson's number 9 on the
Oh,
list,
yeah.
actually. But you guys missed Jason Kidd. You missed. Well, you didn't. miss LeBron.
Was I maybe?
You missed Magic, who's arguably one of the best passers.
Was I
ever.
maybe picking Bulls to move on to National Sports Talk? We will never know. But
Maybe.
Charlie, that's a legit win for you. So
Maybe.
congratulations.
Gail Sayers.
There you
Gail
go.
Sayers. Maybe some embarrassing rounds from me and then also Charlie. But either way, Charlie's the legitimate winner. I'll go back to the other cam.
Yeah, back to the other cam here. We're going to go to National Sports Talk. A lot to cover there as well that we'll get to in the final few minutes of the show. But, yes, I mean, good round from good 3 rounds here. And we'll probably
That'll
continue
be
this
better
segment
with
in the
more people.
future.
It
We'll
will
come up
be-
with some creative categories too. And, yes, with 3 people, this segment tends to be best. So we will continue to do it with 3 in the future. It's a lot of fun.
We did it with like 10 on Freshman
Yes,
Palooza.
Freshman
too.
Palooza was great. I think I did a lot better there too. When we're not pressed for time, I think this will also be more fun. Maybe at the start of the show segment. Is the camera steady for Charlie? And we can see it. Actually, you still can't
Oh,
see
I
it.
gotta move this way. Sorry.
There you go. There you
Perfect.
go. For our viewers on YouTube, of course, your viewing experience is number
Testing.
1 on our priority list. But moving on to National Sports Talk, there's nothing better that we can go to than, of course, in the PGA DP World Tour, the Masters Classic. We were going to talk about this last week in our bonus section. We didn't get to it. And man, finally, Rory McIlroy gets his career Grand Slam. I mean, what a moment for him. You could see how much it meant.
Yeah, and I even said this to Pierson when I first saw him today. I was like, I don't watch golf. I was watching this. That was insane. I knew that it was a big deal when I saw Nick's Muse tweeting, "Oh my God, Rory just sold," because he missed that putt on the 18th hole to send it to that playoff hole. And then it was Reese, right? No, it was
Justin
Rose. Justin Rose.
Two
Rose,
favorites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rose hit that incredible shot that went right next to the pin and then rolled a little bit too far on the green in that playoff. And then Rory hit it farther back, and then the slope kind of ticked the ball right into the perfect spot for that easy putt in. And Rose didn't get Rose 2-putt. Rory won it. That was incredible. That was very electric. That was probably the loudest I've ever heard golf fans cheer too, because it was just such a big moment. And I mean, I think the big takeaway from this is that Augusta just claimed more victims.
Yeah, I mean, you could see like so many players. I mean, someone like Brooks Koepka got cut on the first day. Like, there's a ton of people. Granted, I mean, with the new landscape of golf, with the PGA and Live, I mean, yeah, there's guys who used to play these like fellow players and pairings every day, and now they're not. So I guess I don't know if that actually has any like standing, but it is interesting because you're seeing people pull out new tricks. Bryson DeChambeau, a lot of people's fan favorites, did not come close. He kind of had a really bad last day, honestly, moving down to T5th with Sun JM. And, I mean, of course, Scotty Scheffler always up there, and Patrick Reed, both former winners, I believe. But, yeah, I mean, Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy, I think those are people were saying, yeah, it's going to be those two British golfers at the end. They were. And I think we couldn't have had a better final. We couldn't have had a better way for this to end. And, I mean, for someone like Rory, who has been the biggest proponent for just the PGA and for golf in general, I think he so deserves it. I'm really glad that he got it.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch. Rory, of course, they had a really up and down round with multiple double bogeys. It was so brutal to watch because if you know anything about watching Rory McIlroy in this major drought, it's that when big putts are on the line in the back nine of a major championship, he often just barely misses them. And he'll hit some incredible shots, like the one iron shot on 15 that set up an eagle chance. Then he missed the putt. But he had so many great shots, so many misses. He had the chip, of course, on 13 where he laid up, had his third shot coming and chipped it in the water. One of the worst shots I've ever seen in a major, which is what the golf announcers were saying too. It was legitimately just a terrible shot. But the thing about Rory, and I was talking with a friend about this before the show, is that he's so above and beyond everybody else when he's locked in that he can make so many great shots, and then he chokes sometimes, but he puts himself in the position to choke like no other golfer. He's had so many other top 5 finishes, and the thing is, like, golfers don't like fall off at the end of rounds like Rory, because golfers don't consistently put themselves in that position like Rory. He's always in the hunt. He's always there, and he always puts himself in that spot. You could tell he was fighting demons in his head. And yeah, someone like Justin Rose, also a guy who's had a lot of top 5 finishes in majors, a lot of top 2 finishes in majors, lost a Masters on a playoff. So the last 2 Masters playoffs have been lost by Justin Rose, someone who actually climbed from being down 7 at the start of the day, which would have been one of the largest comebacks ever, and if he had made it. But yeah, I mean, overall, great win for Rory, and I think the best moment at a Masters since Tiger's win, for sure.
For sure, and Tiger said welcome to the club, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think Rory deserves it. And like you said, I mean, he honestly sold every single round. Like, there was not one round where it was like, I mean, yes, of course, on Saturday and Friday, Rory had very good rounds number-wise, but he still made mistakes. Like, I'm sure Rory would have, I mean, I guess to him, he'll always tell everyone, yeah, the whole plan was to go to the playoff and win it in grand fashion. Everyone knows Rory would have preferred to just make those few shots that he missed every round.
He was up 5 at one point, up 5 strokes.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a great story for Justin Rose. I mean, we'll see. Can he finally get it next year? I mean, you got to feel bad for the guy, except for when you get $1.5 million for getting second. I think you're fine.
Yeah. And I just think, really, to sum this up, if you did not watch the Masters, Ian Rappaport tweeted, this is 4 hours ago, he said 4:52. He said, "This is miserable. Watching golf is supposed to be fun. # Team Rory." And then at 5:03, retweets it and says, "Update, we're back." That was Rory McIlroy's day. It was not a normal day, and it's not the normal path to winning the Masters, but
it's
just
the
like
Rory path. It's the Rory path.
Yeah, it's
and
the typical
know.
Rory
It's
path.
the path that we expected to happen if he were to win. He finally got it, and yeah,
Northern Ireland has a champion.
Northern Ireland. Although I think he golfs for Ireland, right, in the Olympics. I'm pretty sure.
I forget.
Or does
I
he
think,
golf
I think
for
he might be
Great Britain?
Northern Ireland. I think Charlie might be correct on that.
No, he is Northern
Oh,
Ireland.
you're saying for
Ireland.
the Olympics?
Yes.
Yes, that could be. I don't actually know 100% for sure, but
Let's see.
that's a good question. But regardless, I mean, yeah, so many top 5 finishes, an
He golfed for
11-year
Northern Ireland,
major drought,
specifically.
and yeah, I mean, it's just it's unbelievable to see what he's done, and someone like Scheffler, of course, contending
Yeah,
as always.
he represents Ireland rather than the
he does,
UK in the
okay.
Olympics. But yes, he's a Northern Irish guy, and Northern Ireland's quite happy with him winning this one. And everyone is, I think. Everyone across the globe moving on, we still have some extra time. I think from now on, I mean, the Sports Voice norm might be to go a little bit over 9. I mean, we're not really keeping anyone waiting. So, with that being said, we'll move on to MLB really quickly and then go into the NBA. The Cubs just beat the Dodgers. They won the series against the world champions away. Huge win for them. Obviously, I'm a Cubs fan, but I'll keep my bias as short as possible. I mean, I don't think this changes anything for the Dodgers. I still think they're the favorites, but I think it is a huge win for the Cubs. I think the biggest question, though, is not even with these two teams, because I think pretty confidently the Dodgers and the Cubs will win their respective divisions, most likely, barring things. I mean, honestly, I had talks with other station members who are Cubs fans. I'm pretty pessimistic sometimes, pretty optimistic sometimes. Either way, though, I think the bigger question is who will win the NL East. And I think this is something that our guest Charlie can talk a lot about as a Mets fan.
Thanks for remembering. Yeah, Juan Soto has been tremendous. Francisco Lindor is tremendous. Two of the best players in the league playing together now. And obviously the Mets, the big question was going to be the pitching. The bats, they should get going at some point. Hopefully, I mean, today 8 runs against the Athletics, but it is the Athletics. Did lose to them yesterday, then also won the game before. Won the series against the Marlins, swept the Blue Jays, won another series against the Marlins, lost the opening series to the Astros. But still, a big thing with this Mets team is just get hot. Pete Alonso's been awesome to start the season. Obviously, Soto had his longest on-base streak to start a season. Of course, it's with the Mets. Let's go Mets. But, I mean, the Mets, the pitching is the question. Senga was good today, but still just pitching as a whole for the Mets, especially with the relief pitching, could always be a little bit questionable. And I'm sure if my brother or dad are listening to this, you could speak more to this than me because they know more about the pitching. We have season tickets. My brother was at 3 games straight opening week, including one of them in the rain. Like my family in my house, we are diehard Met fans.
And the same for me with the Cubs. John, I don't know if you know this, but in 2015, when the Mets won the pennant the last time, I was at Game 4 to see the Mets win the pennant at Wrigley.
I was supposed to go to, or no, what was it? I think I was at Game 1 at Citi Field and it was freezing.
Yeah, that was a great series. Daniel Murphy, people remember that. Future Cub, actually. I think speaking of the Cubs, as a Cubs fan,
I love Ike Davis.
Yeah. What I'm scared about, Justin Steele ruled out for the season. We don't know if it's Tommy John or not, but that's a huge hit for a team that has pretty weak pitching overall. And I think that's the story for a lot of these teams, with the Mets, with the Cubs, with the Phillies, with the Padres.
There's going to be some trades soon.
Yes, there's going to be trades, but I think the biggest thing is right now, as they stand, they're pitching. If one guy goes down, they automatically go from being someone who can legitimately challenge the Dodgers to a team that probably won't. And that's sad. I mean, yes, the Dodgers are technically in 5th in the National League West right now. That won't last. The Dodgers supposedly should be able to do better. I mean, obviously, as a Mets and a Cubs fan, I hope they don't. For Calvin, though, you're a Nats fan. So from the land of, like...
The land of Lincoln. No, that's Nebraska.
That's Illinois.
Oh, wait, it is. Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Lincoln, Nebraska is a place, though. Yes, but land of Lincoln on the license plates of Illinois. But yeah, I mean, Calvin, as a Nats fan, how do you look at a season like this where you're kind of not really expecting much from your team, but you're just kind of enjoying baseball as a whole?
I mean, they need to start paying players because they've had, like, now this big 3 in terms of guys who can break out. And, I mean, just, like, there aren't really very many offseason additions here. But, I mean, like, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, obviously everybody knows how good they are. And Mackenzie Gore really trying to turn into a huge ace with the absence of Josiah Gray, at least for the vast majority of this season. The problem is just the bullpen. The Nats got off to a 1-5 start. They're now 6-9 on the season. The bullpen stinks. This team's bullpen is terrible, and it has been for, like, I feel like most of the years in my living memory. I think the starting pitching is really going to have to go deep into games. We know Davey Martinez likes to take his guys deep into games a lot of times, which is good. But, I mean, you don't want to put too much strain on those starters a lot of times. Would be nice if this team had a reliable bullpen. But, yeah, Mackenzie Gore, like, for example, against the Marlins, the Nats lost 11-4. That's a brutal loss. Mackenzie Gore, 4 runs allowed. Then Jorge Lopez comes in and allows 3 in an inning. Lucas Sims couldn't even retire a batter and allowed 4 runs. And, I mean, by then it was just kind of over.
Yeah, I feel bad for you. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are White Sox fans. Similar situation for them. What I will say, though, is, man, like, Dylan Cruz is on my fantasy team for baseball, and he is terrible.
He's not doing well right now. I think he's going to bounce back, but it is weird considering, how highly touted he is coming into the league. I mean, James Wood is someone who we know has been great, has established himself now. Dylan Cruz still needs to do that establishing.
I mean, Alex Call is out playing him.
And that's crazy.
This is a couple years ago. I was at, I think it was a Ranger playoff game, New York Rangers. Don't
Okay, I
worry.
was gonna say.
Don't worry though. This is related to the Nationals.
Okay.
And it was me, my dad, and my brother. I forget who the Rangers were playing. I think it was against the Lightning. Those first 2 games that the Rangers won, and then they got reverse swept. But we were sitting there, and all of a sudden, my brother is just telling me, my dad, like, Lane Thomas just hit a second home run, and we're like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, we're like, Lane Thomas just hit a third home run. We're like, oh, what? And like, because we thought at first my brother was talking nonsense, but I know Calvin, you as a Nats fan, probably remember that day very well against the Reds on June 3rd. But that's when I think of the Nationals, I always think of that, and I always think of the mascots running around the field.
I always think about how the Cubs beat them in 2017.
I like to think about our World Series in 2019. So
yeah, and then just
more
like as
recent
I
than
do.
the Cubs.
Oh, okay.
Darryl Strawberry throwback for the Mets.
Yeah. I mean,
Tom Seaver.
Yeah. With that being said, our final part, we'll just be going over the NBA play-in tournament. We were planning to do the whole playoffs. We're just going to do the play-in for time's sake. Honestly, for the people listening, we actually don't know. We know that we have like the permission to go farther because no one comes here. It's just music. At the same time, though, we don't know how long we can go, but we're going to test the limit here today.
Let's keep going.
With the play-in tournament. So in the East, it's 7 through 10. It's the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat. So Magic get to host a game. The Hawks get a second chance if they lose. So do the Magic. And the Bulls host the Heat on Wednesday. We shall see. I'm hoping to be there. Maybe I don't know for sure. But I mean, looking at the East, let's just go predictions first. Who do we think are the 2 teams that come out?
To be honest, I don't really think it matters. Like,
You
as
think the
much-
Cavs? You
I
think the
don't
Cavs
think
and
it
the
matters.
Celtics are that
I
good?
think the Cavs and the Celtics sweep either any team they play. I don't really think it matters. I think those 2 teams, as a Knicks fan, as it pains me to say this, and yeah, maybe there was a little bit of, I don't like, my dad texted me this, a little bit of the 2007 Giants, like Patriots last season when the Knicks played the Celtics, like maybe we could beat this team, but yeah, the Cavs and Celtics are just in their own tier. Obviously, you have the Thunder still kind of playing with their puppets, which is the rest of the league right now. But the Cavs and Celtics will maybe drop a game, but they'll destroy anyone they play.
I mean, listen, as a Bulls fan, it is an interesting position. I mean, as people know, I've talked about it on the show, specifically other shows, a lot of things. The Bulls have been in the play-in tournament the last 3 years, and in those 3 years, they always win the 9-10 game, and then they go to play the Heat in the 9-8 game, and they lose. This has happened. They played the Raptors and the Hawks. They beat both of them. They can beat both those teams easily. They can't beat the Heat, and they can't seem to beat the Heat. And when the Heat come out of the play-in tournament, they're quite good. And so, I mean,
This year is different.
I mean, this year's different maybe without Jimmy Butler, and that's true. So I think that's the one thing as a Bulls fan, I'm quietly optimistic that, I mean, Josh Giddey and Kobe White look great. Kobe White, obviously, the most recent Eastern Conference Player of the Month. I mean, it is an exciting time to be a Bulls fan. I don't think this is their year. It would be great to see them in the playoffs. I hope to see them win at least against the Heat, and then hopefully they have to face the Hawks. I think that's their best path. But either way, I agree with you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the Bulls or the Hawks or the Magic or the Heat, whoever of those 4 teams make it, they will probably get gentlemen sweep. I don't think they'll get. I think maybe the Cavs can sweep. I think maybe the Celtics might only gentlemen sweep, just because I think there's always gonna be that one game that comes back to bite them. I mean, looking back as a Bulls fan in 2016, obviously the Cubs are the main thing, but the Bulls had Rajon Rondo, Dwayne Wade, and Jimmy Butler, and they came in as the 8th seed against the Celtics, won 2 games in Boston, and then proceeded to get swept for the rest of the way, which sucks. Hopefully not a repeat there. We'll see what happens. But moving on to the West, this is the much more important one. We're locked in now with the Grizzlies and the Warriors hosting, and then the Mavs and the Kings. I mean, this is a really tough conference. I mean, honestly, 4 through the 6th seed, they're lucky that they got there. I mean, it was so close. All these teams were separated by 1 or 2 games max. I mean, this is a testament to how strong the West is compared to the East. With that being said, I mean, these are going to be tough games. I mean, what do we think?
I mean, I think if you're the Warriors and the Grizzlies right now, this is your Super Bowl. Because if you lose, you'll probably beat the Kings or Mavs, unless Anthony Davis beats the Kings and then just goes on a complete tear. The winner of this game will be delighted to play the 2-seeded Rockets, who are a tough team with not that much playoff experience. And yes, still, as we say, very good team. Şengün's having a great year. Amen Thompson, maybe the most athletic player in the NBA. And I mean, Fred VanVleet's a good anchor there. Dylan Brooks, you never want to mess with him. But loser of this game is probably going to play the Thunder, and you just do not want to play the Thunder. And also, winner of this game is not on the same side of the bracket as the Thunder, which is, I think, even more important. You do not want to be anywhere near that team. You want other teams to maybe beat up on them before you possibly get a crack at them, because I think the Warriors could beat. I think the only team that could beat the Thunder is the Warriors, but at the same
You don't think
time,
the Lakers after beating them?
no. But at the same time, I think the Thunder and the Lakers are the only two teams that could beat the Warriors.
Fair enough. I think that's a good way to think
I think
about
those, and then also obvious, Charles Barkley, I believe, said the other day that he thinks the Clippers are the second best team in the West, and the Clippers have been playing extremely well. Today they beat the Warriors in overtime, and Harden's been playing. This is some of the best James Harden play we've seen in a while, because he's actually playing like a team player. And saying James Harden and team player is not something I thought I'd be used to, but I mean, he did it last year.
He's working. I mean,
he did it last year.
Ivica Zubac is having a career
Zubac
season.
is having a sick year.
And
Kawhi's healthy.
And Norman Powell's playing great.
Kawhi's healthy.
You know, anti-shout out to this. What are we going to call it? We're going to call the SCOAT, the second greatest of all time, in LeBron James, stealing an all-star spot from Norman Powell. Still not great, but either way, the Clippers are happy to be where they are.
Kawhi's healthy.
Yeah, Kawhi's healthy, and against a weak not a weak Nuggets team, but a Nuggets team that's gone through a lot of adversity in the last 48, 72 hours. I mean,
yet again, Nikola Jokic is now your coach, and I don't know if you want to play Nikola Jokic as a coach.
I don't know. I mean, his brothers will be happy, but I don't know how happy the Russell Westbrooks and the Jamal Murrays of the world will be. Regardless, for what I hope happens in terms of what I think will be like the best things, I hope the Warriors beat the Grizzlies. And honestly, I think even though Anthony Davis in the playoffs would be cool, I don't think the Mavs have any chance of doing anything. I would rather see the Kings over the Grizzlies. I think that DeMar DeRozan is super clutch. Yes, I'm biased. Light the beam, right? I mean, I am biased. Obviously, it's DeMar and Zach LaVine running it back, and I think that honestly, clearly, as a Bulls fan, they might be better off without them. But with that being said, I think that just makes a more competitive game against the Thunder. I don't think they'll win. But I think in terms of what would be the best on the East side, for me, obviously, I'm going to say Bulls and Magic. But, I mean, sorry to Raghav, former station leader. I hope your Hawks lose, to be honest. I hope they lose, and I hope the Bulls beat them. So
I kind of want the Magic to get the 8, because I feel like...
Really?
I just feel like they might find a problem. I feel like the Cavs might get a little beat up with Paolo as a problem. I don't know. And also,
I just don't want that to happen.
And also at the same time, I feel like Trae Young is going to do some Trae Young playoff voodoo magic and get a game or two off the Celtics. And then if the Knicks have to play him in the second round, which hopefully will be the case, the Celtics will beat up, and hopefully the Knicks just sweep the Pistons, because the Knicks we saw the last few days is not the Knicks I think we're going to see in the playoffs.
I want to see Matas Buzelis dunk on Evan Mobley's head. That's what I want to see. The Bulls are exciting, but yeah, realistically, this team probably won't make it out. But if they do, I'll be really excited, and you guys will keep hearing it from me until they get swept. So
let's go Knicks.
Yeah, let's go Knicks. Let's go Bulls, I guess. Let's go Wizards.
Let's go Wizards. Let's go Cooper Flag. Yes, they will get Cooper Flag, and they'll draft.
You guys are going to drop to the 4.
I don't even want to think about it. All right. Well, the Wizards, hopefully they'll get Cooper Flag, of course. But, yeah, I think I agree with you guys with everything you've said. I think the Warriors definitely the most dangerous team out of the play-in. I think they beat the Rockets if they win. Like, in the series, I think they do. But, yeah, that'll do it. I mean...
We're testing the limit, man. We're testing the limit. It is 9:13 right now. We've had an hour 10, probably, based on, like, a little bit late with ads.
Well, we've been here for,
I think the key is to get
we've been here for almost 2.5.
The important stuff, get that in within the hour, and then, we just have gone on a little bit.
Listen, and this, like we said, this might be the norm. If we can get permission to go longer structurally, we will, because I think everyone loves to talk. And honestly, as you heard for this entire sports block, you're going to have to get used to all of our voices. I can't say this won't be the first or the last time that it's just us talking. But at the same time, I think you can't be mad at me. We have a great on the clock with Charlie.
We all know ball.
We all know ball. Her take is awesome. I think they're a great pairing. And then obviously, I don't want to toot our own horn, but I think that SportsVoice has a lot of great stuff going on. Thank you so much to Charlie for joining us. Thank you to everyone who's listening, obviously. And hopefully you can hear some new guests next week. But if not, you'll see us.
And if you're listening and you're on WNUR, pref next week, because next week, all across the board, not just my show, not just SportsVoice, not just Her Take, pref for podcast, pref for everything. Just participate. We love it.
It's a Sunday. Who doesn't love a Sunday? Fish always brings us in and talks about how great the sports block is. So
there's no NFL football, which is a big calling card for me here too. There's a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for listening, as always. For Pierson, Strandquist, Calvin Kaplan, Charlie Jacobs, and Her Take, we'll just collect them. They're not on the show. They chose not to. They actually said...
Riel Lowry and Chelsea Robinson.
Yeah, Riel Lowry and Chelsea Robinson.